In 1909, the American Museum of Natural History sent two scientists on an expedition to the Congo. Herbert Lang and James Chapin ultimately spent 6 years amassing a collection of specimens from the region. Exactly 100 years later, the museum's own Mark Siddall set out on a new expedition to the neighboring Rwanda.
There was a sense of connectivity, historical connection to biologists working here at the museum in terms of the uniqueness of the area, in terms of a longer perspective on biodiversity.
Siddall went in search of leeches, furthering his studies of the curious, blood-sucking creatures.
The research really involves running around the world, as most of us curators like to do, and describing the diversity of the groups that we're interested in my case, leeches. Bringing them back to the museum where we find new species, we describe those. And then in addition, we do a lot of work that involves figuring out their evolutionary relationships.
Beyond cataloging, Siddall's interests lie in the compound that allows leeches to stop blood from clotting.
Leeches are able to do what they do because they have what we call anticoagulants in their saliva. These are compounds that they introduce into a wound when they're feeding in order to prevent the blood from clotting.
For modern medicine, this has proven important over the years.
The very first human dialysis treatment was done by a guy named Jörg Haas in Germany in 1920, and it was only possible because he was provided with this purified leech compound, Herodin, that he could line the tubing with so that the blood that he was taking out and then dialyzing through a machine wouldn't clot along the way.
On this latest trip, Siddall traversed Rwanda's rugged landscape in search of varied species.
It was really our interactions with the local people that helped out the most in terms of finding the various species that we were looking for. And when someone says, look, here's a body of water and here's a body of water, you won't find them there, you'll find them there, you're best actually taking their advice. Our collecting methods involve rolling our pant legs up or going in shorts and sandals into the water and allowing the leeches to be attracted to us.
I am going to muck about with my feet in extraordinarily cold water, hoping that there may be a leech in here that's interested.
Altogether, in terms of the medicinal leeches, we believe we were able to collect 5 distinct species.
Finding wild leeches is important for Siddall's team so that they can isolate DNA and figure out how each are related.
DNA doesn't really survive for a century in alcohol in a warm, unair-conditioned museum in Belgium or New York or anywhere else. And so this is one of the reasons why the fieldwork is really critical to getting some of the evolutionary relationship work done.
Now back at the museum, Siddall already has his sights set on a return trip.
People say that Africa gets under your skin, and it certainly has gotten under mine. I would be surprised if I didn't find myself, out of nostalgia, trying to retrace some of the steps of Lang and Chapin from 100 years before.